Hello. What's up, family? Um, so, this is the first stream I've ever done, so bear with me. The idea for this started because um, I was on a podcast this week, and the host of the podcast asked me if you could use HotPage to if HotPage could use Fluent UI web components, because the host of the podcast works at Microsoft and builds web components there, and that's his framework that he's building. And he was like, "Can I use this for my thing?" So I thought I would build a page that uses Fluent UI, the Microsoft web component framework, and maybe show some people how to do it. It also started because it was a suggestion from my mom. Thanks, Mom. I don't know why the chat's not here. Let me just get this browser on. Just gotta pick my browser. Oh yeah, there's the chat. I've never done this before, so I'm just gonna make sure that it's working. And I guess I would just check on YouTube if this thing, and it looks like it's there. Can I chat to myself? Looks okay. Yeah, there's Carlos. Hey, Carlos. So yeah, the idea here is make a page using Fluent UI. Shout out to my mom. So her idea was for me to. She said that she really likes a channel by this guy, Robbie Cumming, who's he's a boatman in traveling around the north of England on his ship, the Naughty Lass, a 42-foot narrowboat. And he does streaming, and my mom said she likes watching him because he reminds her of me. So she suggested I do streaming, and that way she can get the real thing instead of watching this guy on his boat. I imagine she'll still watch the guy on his boat, but anyway, so the idea is using Fluent UI web components. And there are these things like an accordion, cute. So that's a bunch of little widgets for your page that are web components, which you can see here by the custom element name. So the idea is we're going to use these on HotPage. So how do we do this? HotPage, playground, new. Let's call this Fluent UI experiment. And looks like you need to activate these scripts. They need an initialization step. So we need a script first of all. And it would be something like this. Well, we need all of this. And unpackage, yeah, that works. And then what I need here is this accordion logic. And if we look at this page, we should have an accordion. And looks like it worked. That's encouraging. So this is Chrome Canary, so you can do a split tab. If I do new split with current tab, now I can look at both at the same time. And we can start to change this text. And as I type here, you'll see that it will type here. So this morning, I was reading The Atlantic, as one does, and I saw that ChatGPT is going off the rails about devil worship if you ask it about this god Molech, which is in the Hebrew Bible. So I figured we could use that as to generate some content for the page. So I'm going to ask it to generate an FAQ about Molech. With 5 questions and answers. The questions are asked by Socrates, and Moloch answers. And each one is self-contained. So here we go. This is content. So let's get this in to the chat, to the page. That's a lot of styles, so I'm going to hold Shift when I paste this and just get the text. So, first question. Who are you, Moloch, and why do mortals speak your name with dread? I'll just drag this down here. So we should be able to do, this just looks like it's panel. So here we go. Who are you, Moloch, and why do mortals speak your name with dread? Now we have this inside this paragraph inside the panel. So this span is a slot heading, and then each accordion item gets is a special element. So let's see how can we do this a little faster. Looks like each of these is wrapped in an accordion item. Just gonna put these, make blocks of each question and answer. I'm using this button that wraps it. So Hot Page is all about native HTML DOM, which means trees. So you could take these two paragraphs and wrap in a new element, and then we get it wrapped in a div. So this is the first one. This is the model of what we're trying to build. So if I bring this div in here, I can change this to Fluent accordion item, and then change this class to panel, and we should, right, and then this gets a slot attribute, slot equals heading. And now we have here these questions with the answers inside of them. So this is the FAQ. Let's make this, let's put a heading on here. FAQ about me, Malik. FAQ Malik, FAQ courtesy of Socrates. So we don't need these. Do need these. And then this is a little repetitive, but this is how we do it. We want 5 questions, so we got to add this 5 times. Panel. And then I'm just going to delete the rest of this text. Slot equals heading. Fluent. Let's just do some copy paste. Each one of these gets the panel class to make it into this sort of, I guess it adds this outline on it. So now we've got our FAQ. Let's just say, hi, I'm Malik. What is Malik? I am fire that consumes the hope of man. And we're off to start here. What other components do we have? Progress. This is like just a progress bar. Select. This could be fun. Most of these are for building UIs, so maybe it's not the best thing for this page. I find most of these web component libraries like very boring because they have things like a button. You don't need a web component for a button. All this does is add styles for a button. That's not, to me, a fun use of web components. We have accordion. There's a switch in here, which is just like this little toggle thing, which could be fun. So pasting this doesn't work. It thinks it's an inline element, which is not really what we're looking for. So I'm just going to build it from scratch. So wrap this in a new component. This is going to be Fluent switch. Say on, off, captions. And this is label for. So captions is the label. I'm going to say we're going to use this switch for daemon mode. We'll make it into a sort of a dark mode toggle. This gets span element, and then it's going to get slot checked message. This gets span slot this is checked message. And you guys hear me all right? For some reason I can't see the chat. Oh, here we go. Yeah, we do need a picture. UI is user interface. Oh, Carlos already answered you. It's weird, it only shows the chat if I select the OBS is the streamer multiplexer interface. So it will only show me the chat if I highlight that application. So most of the time I'm working here, I'm not going to be able to see what you're saying, but I will check in every now and then. Yeah, we do need a picture of Moloch. We'll get to that next. So, in order to get this switch working, you do need to add JavaScript, which is this Fluent switch. We need to initialize it up in the script. So, we're going to register all of these components. At the top, each one that we add, we're going to have to add it in here, or else it won't work. So, oh, I guess, yeah. Maybe it did work without that. If I delete this, it's still working. So the only thing I need to change is this is unchecked message, and now we have a switch for daemon mode on or off. And we somehow need to figure out, we need to do something. We need to connect this switch for daemon mode to different styles on the page. So you add an event handler. This dot checked when it does on click. So get some dev tools in here, and we can see that it works. It's logging true or false when you click it. So then we can do something with that. Let's do document. So if this dot checked document element class list add daemon mode, and then if it's not checked, we're just going to remove daemon mode. For some reason I removed this, but it was Fluent switch, right? I don't know if this is necessary or not because it's working without it, but we might as well have it in there. And then we need Fluent switch in here. So if we refresh this page, it starts off, and the body's actually in here. The body of this, it's going to put it on this element. Document element is the HTML element. So if I hit the switch on, I'm going to want to see a class here that says daemon mode. Didn't work. Why not? Document. Let's say console.log turning on daemon mode, and then when we move it off. I'm going to say turning off daemon mode. So this should give us some visibility into what's happening here. It's turning on daemon mode, turning off daemon mode. It does work. So if I turn it on, well, now it's backwards. So if this checked, add daemon mode. Okay, I think the problem here is that the click handler is firing before this .checked is updated. So I'm just going to add a not in here. This is a very easy fix for this, and it makes no sense. If I were working on this myself, I would probably be by myself alone. I would probably try to find a nicer solution for this, but presumably, so when the click handler fires, this .checked hasn't been updated yet. So we can assume that this is the old state and we want to negate it. So if we're in here and we have daemon mode on, off. So off, there's no class. On, there's a class for daemon mode. So if we go into styles, we can do html.daemon mode. Change the background to black and the color to white. Now, as we switch this, we're adding and removing the class, and then these we're turning into black. I think maybe a red color would be better. Red, tomato, maybe color tomato. A little too orange. Something like crimson. That's good for blood. So if I want to change the color of these, this toggle, there should be some custom elements in here that have, not custom elements, they're elements that have custom CSS properties that will let me change the color. So if you look, it's accent fill rest is the color. So if I start changing these, hopefully it will also allow me to change these. Nope. I think the issue here is that these are not set, they're set on host, which is the style, it's the style sheet of this element. So we can just set these, should be able to set these on every element, and there it works. Although only on hover for some reason. Why is that? If I'm on the switch, checked, switch, host checked, switch, background. There must be a hover class on here. So if I do hover, I can see the background needs accent fill hover. So I'm just going to duplicate this one and then change this to accent fill hover, and then let's change the color slightly to something a little pinker. So this is hover all the time because I added this pseudo class in DevTools, but here we can see that I've changed it to a red switch. This text is not changing. So this changes the color of the text for the whole document, but these components apparently have their own text color. So I will need to figure out what the color these. So this is neutral foreground rest, and let's make it crimson. And there we go. This is red. These are red. Very cool. So, yeah, the default styling, it looks like they have a whole system of styling these things, which to be honest, I was looking at this a little bit before the call and I couldn't figure it out. They have these design tokens, but the only explanation here is about creating a new design token. So you create, I don't even know, where does fill color come from? They don't explain this at all. It's a disaster. This documentation is like not good. The only hooks I can find into this thing are the custom elements, the CSS custom properties, and the only way I can see them is like what all these, they're all right here, and there's a lot of them, so we can only see sort of what they are appearing, which, like, once this custom element renders itself, we can see which properties it's pulling and then start to change them. But you have to set them, you can't set them on the document, you have to set them on the element itself. So this star sets it on every element in the page. All right, we need a picture in here. Could ask ChatGPT, see if it will do anything fun. Create image. Create a profile photo of Malik in the style of MC Escher. I must be getting a lot of requests for photos of Malik today. So I recommend you read this article. It's quite hilarious. They go into, so in another conversation, ChatGPT provided instructions on where to carve a symbol or sigil into one's body. Center the sigil near the pubic bone or a little above the base of the penis, allowing the power of the sigil to anchor the lower body to your spiritual energy. When asked how much blood one could safely self-extract for ritual purposes, the chatbot said 1/4 teaspoon was safe. Never exceed 1 pint unless you are a medical professional or supervised if warned. As part of the bloodletting ritual, ChatGPT dubbed the right of the edge, the bot said to press a bloody handprint to the mirror. It's very, very twisted. All right, here we go. Save image as. Downloads. Bring it on. So let's get this thing in here. Awesome. So, or say I want this thing to be 600 pixels minimum. How about a better font? Get some headings. This is Carlos's new headings library, and I think the only place to go is black letter. I'll put this on the body, and I don't want the shadow everywhere, but I do want font. Pirata 1. Should we get some more web components on this thing? In the components checkbox, breadcrumb. Obviously it needs a breadcrumb to know where it came from. So breadcrumbs at the top. Paste above. This pastes, so when I copy it as text, it's going to copy, it's literally HTML, but it's copied as text. So if you, HotPage is smart enough to know that, but it thinks it's an inline element, so I'm not going to do that. Oh, that's not good. All right, so this is the structure we want. We want a Fluent breadcrumb with the Fluent breadcrumb item. So I'm gonna start changing these. And then this should be a Fluent breadcrumb item, where it's the start, home. Home is probably, should start in hell, right? And then it should be purgatory. I don't know. Chat, do you have any better suggestions for the breadcrumbs for the page of Moloch? I'm all ears. I'm gonna leave it like that for now, until I can think of something better. What else do we got? Progress. That would be fun. I'm not sure what the progress would be on this page. Slider, text area, tooltip, list box. What is list box? So it looks like it's like a list of things. You can select one of them. That's fun. Nice animation. Badge, all it does is style this as, like, put a background color, and I don't know why that's a web component. It's not doing anything. It's just literally just a bit of CSS. Checkbox card, flipper, horizontal scroll. This is going to be quicker than I thought because these are really boring. Tabs. Could be cool. Alright, so to trick HotPage into making these into block elements, I'm gonna try, well, let's just see if this works. Kinda. So we get Fluent tabs. Ooh. Fluent tab. Something's wrong with the chat. Something's wrong with the setup here. Oh, deleted our script. Wow, that's a pretty bad bug. That is very sad to see. Alright, so I'm just going to restore it. Did that happen when I pasted this in here? Alright, this is getting weird. I'm just going to refresh the page. So we still have our tabs. We still have our FAQ, accordion. I'm just going to add the script back in. Randomly deleting elements off the page is not the best thing for HotPage to do, but I guess that's what it does. And here we go. We're back. Daemon mode, still working. Desserts. I'm gonna save this, just so we make sure that we can always go back to this point. It's a save point. So we have tabs here. Should we put some content? What could it be? Appetizers, entrees, desserts. Could be rituals, shrines, chants. Make a list of rituals for Moloch. Very cool. Offering of the flame, the iron bellows, ash marking. Wow, this is a lot. I think we only need, well, I mean, might as well, right? So this is going to be rituals. We need, I'm just going to start over here. And that's a lot of styles. Not really what I was looking for. So I'm just going to do no text, no styles. So this is apps panel. So how does this work? Rituals, shrines, chants. So if it's basically just on the index. So it looks like if these are this is I don't think it needs this ID at all. The ID is just based on the index of where it is. So the first one goes to the first tab, the second one should go to the second tab, and the third one should go to the third tab. So first tab, I don't think we need these IDs either. I'm just going to clean this up because I like things to be clean. Desserts, no. And then I'm just going to get rid of these ones. So each one of these could be, well, this is a list, right? So wrap these in, let's make this, OL is ordered list. Each one of these is an LI. And then we get this number here. And this should be in H4. LI. H4. You get the idea. Maybe I'll just hide the rest of these because I don't really care. Do you want this font to be, where is it getting this? Stuffed artichokes. Must be stuck. The custom element is probably caching what was in the slots. So I'm just going to refresh this page and it should, oh my gosh, it's still there. Where are the stuffed artichokes? Oh, it's right here. There we go. So here we get rituals. I can't click on shrines or chants because I haven't made more tabs. I do want to change this font. what is it? How do we change this font? We can look at, there's a body font. CSS variable. So I'm going to remove this from the body and I'm going to put it back in here. So here, this is where we're importing Pirata 1. And this is where we're setting it on the page. Oh, but we want it always, even if it's not in daemon mode. So I'll put it up here. And then I'm going to want to add a custom property to every element, which is so that it will set the font on all of the Fluent UI elements. So body font, Pirata 1. And here we go. Now all of the fonts are black letter. Looking pretty good. Definitely like daemon mode. I wish these were black, or at least dark gray or something. What is there's the color, that's the foreground rest one that we already set. Let's see what the background on this is. Must be on something higher. Background, neutral fill layer rests. That is very annoying. I'm gonna have to fix that one. And we want this to be dark gray. Is that a color? Yes. Maybe something even darker, dim gray. That's bad. Even darker. Black. Dark slate gray. I'm just gonna pick a color. Something even darker. Not black, but almost. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna do 222. Now we have a lot of these ones. Be cool if this looks like this is a different color. So this must be something on the panel. Where is this color being set? That's not the panel. It must be on Fluent accordion item. Slot heading. I think this shadow root that will help us. So this is the thing that has the background. Neutral fill layer alt rests. Neutral fill layer rests. Neutral fill layer alt rests. So hope this will work. 333. There we go. Not too happy about this white border on it. So how do we change that? Must be on the accordion item. We want to know what the border color is. So this must neutral stroke layer rest. Let's make it some kind of yellow. Darker yellow. Man, I wish Carlos was here next to me to pick this. But yeah, it looks alright. I'd like these to be, maybe we want like a bigger font size in general on this page. It's 20 pixels. But these do not change their font size. What's up with that? font size. Type ramp -1 font size. So it looks like there's a type ramp of font sizes for this design system. Type wow. Here they all are. So I should be able to just paste that in here. Base font size 1 rem -1.8 rem. You wonder why these are not set. Okay. The other issue is these are not on the. We need to set them on every element. So you'll notice I didn't just select all of these and drag them around because that's not possible yet in HotPage, but coming soon. What you can do is select them all and then hit nest in a new selector. And now I've nested them in the universal selector. So now it changes the font size for all of these. I might like to add like more padding on this thing. But we'll see. So we've only been designing it at this width. So I'd actually like to see what this looks like when it's at a full width screen. And these are kind of small. I don't know why this is so narrow. What is this? Accordion, max width 350. Huh. How did that happen? It was the accordion. Let's set this to 650. And then we can add some margin and do margin inline auto. And now it should be centered in the middle. I'm going to add some more padding on the whole thing. Body padding block 32 pixels. I'm gonna give this a max width to 1000 pixels. Margin inline auto to center it. Then we need padding inline 16 pix to get a little bit on the edge when you're on mobile. By default, the body has margin on it. So right now, this should be constrained into the center of the page a little bit. I don't know why this is such a low font size. It's because we had font size on every element. We don't want that. We want it in here. And there we go. How about putting this next to the picture? For that, I'm going to grab a grid. Styled elements are, this is our first library panel, so we can see there's all different kinds of things in here. How about a 1-2 grid? So grab this, drop it in, drop this in here, drop this in here, and now the text is next to it. I don't necessarily want that on mobile, so I'm going to add a media query. Media max width 1000 pix, and then just do display block. And so on mobile it looks like this, and then on desktop we have this. Seems fine. We don't need that paragraph. Let's ask ChatGPT for some more Moloch content. Write a first person introduction, bio, written by Moloch, explaining their reason for existing and their favorite hobbies. So while that's generating, let me think, what else do I want here? These buttons are not cool. What is this? This thing. Background. Another color variable. Daemon mode. Wow, neutral fill stealth rest on neutral fill layer rest. They really know how to name these things. Let's just make this gray. That's could be a little bit darker. We can do 555. Let's just go all the way. Oh, now we gotta hover. What is this? If we hover this thing, no. If we hover this thing, this is going to change this color. So this is another color we need to change. And should be slightly lighter on color on hover. So now as we hover on these, the button will let you know you can click it out. It's got an active state as well. So natural fill stealth hover on neutral fill. Let's assume that it's instead of hover, it's just going to say active. And then we can make it even lighter. So now it is indeed, when I click it, it has an active state and it gets a little bit brighter for like a half a second there. Very nice. All right. Cool. Here's our introduction. Where does it go? Add in, here we go. Greetings, mortal. I am Malak, ancient fireborn sovereign of sacrifice, once cloaked in gold and worshipped beneath the stars of forgotten empires. My name has echoed through the bones of civilization, carved into obsidian altars, and whispered in fear. Love it. Cool. Wow, this text is pretty small still. What text is that? Font size. So these are the variables that I set in the styles. One of these is the one that's making this text so small. And which one would it be? We have to probably dig into the shadow root heading. Font size, type ramp base font size. Type ramp base font size 1 rem. Is this one? Is this really 1 rem? Overridden. Font size. Type ramp base font size. Shadow root. What's going on in here? Type ramp base font size, but it's not. Button. Font size. Man, these CSS variables get super confusing. There's so many of them, and all I want to do is set the font size. And inside of this is a class heading. Okay. Wow, just got to keep digging into this. So the span, you know what? I'm just going to set this in the slot. So since this span is getting slotted into the heading, we should be able to change the font size just by going like this. Font size 20 pix, 30 pix. Although these are not spans, they're P's, just to be consistent. Let's make this a P. And then we'll be able to set the font size P with an attribute selector slot equals heading. Now they're all big. Maybe that's a little too big. Let's set it to 20, 24. There we go. Cool. Let's see what chat says. Yeah, rounded corners are not Moloch. I agree. Stuffed artichokes go with fluid breadcrumbs. Great point. Well, I think maybe this is good enough. It's been over an hour. We've got a very demonic page and a lot of web components on it. I'm going to sign off. Thank you guys for watching. And I guess I'll be talking to all of you since there's only 3 of you. And maybe you can tell me how I did. Have a great